So it's not very late yet, but it's a Monday night and I should be going to bed soon, but I spent almost my entire day scrolling and I wanted to break that pattern by doing something different, which is this is something I rarely do. Um, Hop on a recording and kind of spill my beans. So having spent so much time on social media today, I thought about how polished things are and how afraid I've been to really be honest and to put myself out there and do things um, with, I guess, genuineness, with putting it out as this is who I am. When I was little, I wanted to be an artist and I always liked drawing and I had a really vivid imagination. I would come up with my own characters and stories. And there came a point where the drawings that I would make, I would do them halfway and then I would stop and throw them away. And that was a really pivotal point in my life because what it signified as I got older is that I am afraid of making mistakes, like a lot of people. I'm afraid of appearing unpolished or weak or any other sort of negative thing that might come from not honing the final product over and over into a state of insanity. And holding back like that gets tiring to me sometimes. Sometimes I think it makes sense when you're around certain people or in certain situations to be putting forth your best face and your best effort. But thinking about the little me that would draw things and throw them away, there were so many unfinished projects, so many unfulfilled wells of potential that I did not tap into because I was too afraid. So I'm interrupting that pattern as well now and hopping on here with no scripts, no filter, in my pajamas, sort of tired, um, really just rambling on because I think that this is going to hit somebody's heart and brain and it's going to make sense to them. And in the rare event that it hits nobody's hearts or brains, I'm happy I said it anyway and put it out there because in the past year, if there's anything that I've learned, it's that you can be afraid of something and still do it anyway. And that's really how you grow. That's really how you push yourself out of your comfort zone. And there are times when pushing yourself out of your comfort zone doesn't make sense, where it's not going to benefit you right now as you are. And then there's times where it really will. The hardest thing is that it doesn't feel like it's going to benefit you because everything in your body is screaming that you shouldn't do it because you're going to die. And the great thing about us as humans is that we're smart enough to know when we're really not going to die. And we can override that and be able to do something even if it scares the living shit out of us. So I don't know if I want to do this every day or every week or but I have a voice and I have a lot of thoughts and I want it to get out there to people who could hear me, people who could understand me. I wanted to capture life as it is right now because I've been thinking about nostalgia and about how a lot of things that happened to me and for me as a child were sacred, really. They were precious. They were once in a lifetime kind of things, but I wouldn't have known that because I had taken it for granted and I wasn't looking for those sort of blessings. Um, so kind of through that thread, I don't want to deny this uniqueness of this moment because it to me just feels like another day. But I know that there's certain things and feelings and thoughts and experiences that happen today that will never ever happen again. And there's a lot of things in my life that I currently take for granted that maybe 5 years down the line I won't have them anymore and it's going to be kind of wistful to look back and think that I didn't realize how special they were. So the way things are going now, I'm working towards something very big for myself and my family. And I know that in a few months, my life will look really different. This is the first time I've had some sort of stability in my life. In in a surprisingly exciting way. Like I've had stability throughout my life, but this is a way in which I got it for myself, and I took a lot of risks to get here. And I still am taking risks every day, going back to being able to do things even if you're afraid. That's a skill that we all have, but it takes practice to hone it. And I really did, because if you think about the little me that would draw things and throw them away, I'm not like that anymore, and I refuse to be. So I've been working really hard and focusing and putting forth my best outlook on things. So when things get negative in my head and stormy and overwhelming, I remind myself to step back and to see the grand scheme of things, and that um, there's a lot of time to get where I need to be, that um, I'm putting forth my best effort, and I can't do any further than that. I can't, there's a lot of things that I can't control. And no matter what I focus on, I'm going to get it. So I have to remind myself to focus on things that I really do want instead of the things that I'm afraid of. I think fear has been a very strong theme in my life. And up until now, until recently, I let it take a backseat and I don't let it control my decisions anymore. So I've had quite a personality shift in the past year. I took a lot of risk. I did some really hard things. I got to some points where I learned who I really am and what I really want out of this life. And I think one of the things that I refuse to accept is being mediocre and giving the bare minimum. That's something that I tried for several years of my life, and it's not something that I'm willing to go back to. It drained the soul out of me. It made me feel like there was no purpose to life, there was no happiness in existing, and um, having tasted what it feels like to truly live, that's something that doing the bare minimum is something that I cannot accept anymore. So things are just going to go up from here. And I've been waking up very early. I've been sleeping very early. I've been staying home a lot. I've been cooking at home a lot. That's kind of my daily routine. And then the scrolling, lots of scrolling when I'm off of work, kind of waiting until I have to go back to work again. So that's something that I want to interrupt, because it's not the direction that I'm headed in. I'm trying to figure out what can go in those extra time slots, what else I can do. I used to be a very creative person. I would spend hours and hours drawing and watching things and um, reading and just being happy in my own company. And that's something that's gotten harder and harder to do as I got older. So it's there's this part of me deep down that's telling me to tap back into that, into my creativity and into being happy with being alone and not really having anything to do, not forcing anything. Because in the past few years, I've gotten really intensely focused on the future and on speeding things up and being productive and active and not stopping. And um, it's hard to live that way when you don't have the balance to go with it. To have the times where you're bored, where nothing's happening, where um, things are slow, they're happening in real time, and that's okay. And I don't think we are really trained to experience that anymore. I think it's much easier to speed things up and to look to the future and to kind of run away from the present moment, which is what I have been doing. So I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to step back into the present moment and live my life again.